Ow.
So that's the first part to the strategy. So look, man, I posted this clip on my Instagram, right? And obviously I've had tons of DMs, people asking me, yo, what's your strategy? What are you doing that's so special, right? I'm here to break down exactly what I do from step A to Z, right? However you want to look at it. I'm not here to make it look overcomplicated. I'm not here to try to pull out any type of fancy, anything too crazy, right? The core fundamentals that I've been following the past years has led me to the profits that I've been making is the exact same thing I'm gonna show you, right? So if you wanna be able to earn $25,000 on a live account, right? Not just little funded payouts. You know, funded payouts are nice, right? If you actually wanna maintain your live capital, right? And be able to exponentially grow it, this the video is for you. Let's get it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps that you need to follow, right, if you actually want to make these profits. So number one, directional bias, right? You want to, first things first, look for the directional bias, right? So I'm going to show you all these step by step in a minute, but let's just go through all of them first. Number two, spot liquidity on the buy side and on the sell side, right? Because we want to understand where price could be targeting on each side so we can, you know, make sure to not be too tunnel vision and be open-minded with price going either which way, and then understanding which way makes the most sense. Next, time and price theory. So that a little bit touches on what I was just saying, kind of like how, like for me, right, for example, all right, let me take this bullshit off. New York session, obviously time and price theory would tell me that my setups should be playing out. You know, the price should be getting to where I want it to get to and doing what I want it to do in theory of whatever, you know, what time it is, right? So, which means basically New York session obviously is the most volatile for NAS. So my setup should be playing out within that time frame between, I would say, 9:30 to 11. Now, once we figure out all of that, first thing we want to actually do is wait for a sweep. And like I said, I'm gonna show you all these step by step. Wait, impulsive move. You know, I didn't go to college. Let's autocorrect that right there. 6. And we're gonna pair up two, you know, of the main important things you really need to take from this video. We're gonna pair up these two together in step number 6 right here. So right here will be the Fibonacci retrace. Stay over that. All right, and the fair value gap. So those combined together, shit. If you could follow these step by step without knowing anything about trading, I would say you could at least still hit about 81% or better. And as long as you have a good risk to reward, hey, profitable for sure. You actually see all these things in line. Last thing to do is basically, like I just said, you want to execute with a low risk, high reward setup. If you don't see the potential or the opportunity of a low risk, high reward setup being there, it's probably not a good trade that you should be taking. Simple as that. So with all that being said, let's show you these step by step. So I got a few examples already highlighted. Did have to cop that TradingView premium. So you know what I'm saying, y'all go ahead and drop a like for me, you feel me? I just want to show y'all a couple setups that I actually took myself and break it down for you. So boom, this is the first one, right? The third one's gonna be my favorite one, the best setup. So let's jump into this first one right here. So, all right, bet. Now we back live. So bet. Like I said, let's go over to this first example. The third one will be the best, but we're gonna say that for last. So boom. Boom, I'm gonna paste this here so we can see all of our things right here in our face while we're looking at this trade. So first things first, right? Directional bias. So, you know what? I got the replay tool now, so we finna lock in. Hold up, let's go back to around 9:15. Let's say we woke up, checked the charts, you know, got everything ready, got a good breakfast, boom, 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 bada boom, whatever type of bullshit you do in the morning. All right, 9:15 hits. So let's skip to that. All right, so the first thing, directional bias. So I like to go to the higher time frame for that. Hopefully, if I click the higher time frame, it's not going to change this replay. Okay, it did not. Okay, so higher time frame. So first thing about The directional bias is me personally. I like to, probably look at the daily real quick, go down to the 4 hour, get a good general basis off of that. And then most importantly, like probably I would say the 1 hour, right? So when I'm looking at these higher time frames, which I'm on the 1 hour right now, I'm really looking at order flow, right? You got to understand what you're trading, right? So I'm trading NAS. Obviously, no, most of the time is normally bullish. It's the US market, unless something crazy is going on, which, it is some shit going on. I ain't gonna lie. But most of the time, it'd be bullish. But overall, here, if we look at our market structure, we see more of down, up, down, up, down. We could come up or, keep going down, right? So right now, with how the order flow was going, more of these current, Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday, and then boom, opening up on this Monday, I feel like we could go up, fill in a lot of this from last week, and probably go down again. So I'm more of bearish on the day, directional wise. And that's just like I said, going off of the higher time frame, because the lower time frame is the same exact patterns, the same exact thing, but it's just more significant as far as where price is actually going to deliver towards if you look at the higher time frame. So boom, right off of this alone, I see it's definitely been bullish the past hour or two. But like I said, I still see that price tried to climb up here and fill in a lot of this space, and it failed to reach throughout London session, retrace a little bit. As New York hit, it came back up again. I feel like it's going to come up, fill in just a little bit more of this area, and then we can go start heading towards back down. So boom, that's the first thing, directional bias. We want to always look at the higher time frame for that first. So let's X that out, or however we want to do it. How can we do it? All right, number one done. It's now spot liquidity. So right here, just off first glance, I would clearly mark up just our range, our current range that we're in right now. So boom. Actually, let's take the regular. Trend line right here. So I would mark up this high right here as our first buy side liquidity area. And we can move this green shit. So boom, that's our buy side so far in this current area, just because that's our most recent high. Obviously, our next one will probably be up here, up here, up here. But in our current range, boom, right here, buy side liquidity. Our sell side, we could say our current would be, I would say more of two options here. Down here, just because that's more, very recent. And then on top of that, definitely down here standing out. So basically, like I said, whenever you see like a large wick to the upside or a wick to the downside, and you see a wick was left and then price just turned straight around and went the opposite way, just like how this did right here, boom, that would be, most of the time our liquidity, just because, like I said, if price had a heavy momentum going one way and then just left a large wick, couldn't push anymore and turned around, that would be our liquidity that we spot right there. So boom, that's number two. And like I said, we want to mark upside, our buy side, and our sell side, just because we don't want to have tunnel vision and be stuck on one bias. We want to understand both sides of the markets. Boom. All right, time and price theory. Now, we already know that checks out because it's 9 o'clock, 9:20, 9:15, whatever we marked up, boom. So we know, all right, all of this that we see should play out within the time frame that we're actually looking at live. So, NASDAQ, US markets, obviously New York session, 9:30 Eastern open. It all makes sense. It all flows together. So that checks out easily. Boom. All right, now number 4, wait for the sweep. Simple as that. So let's go back down to the, say, 5 minute. Actually, let's just do the 1 minute real quick. So let's say, boom, it's 9:15 right now live, right? We can't wait to trade. Y'all wake up and fiend, can't wait. Boom, boom, boom. Let's click play. Hold up. How do you, all right, bet. Hold up. So this is our range, buy side, sell side. Hold up. Let's pull our rules up though. All right, bet. We got 3 of them checked out. Now number 4, let's wait for the sweep. So buy side, sell side, whichever that may be first. Let's get it. All right, bet. 927. Let's see how many minutes it takes for us to get that sweep on New York Open. 28, 29. Boom. All right, what is this shit? 930, 931. So right here, we swept buy side, right? So that's number 4. Let's mark that off. All right, now let's wait for the impulse move. Still playing around in this area. Boom. Oh, shoot. All right, bet. So what we have here, obviously, price swept up here. Boom. We dropped about, let's see. From here, we dropped about 100 points in like 2 minutes. So that's our impulse move right there. Let's check that out. Number 6. Let's at least, while we can, mark up. Oh, wait, let me see. Mark up the 1 minute gap we have here, which is pretty wide. So we do have to, get a more precise entry, but that's one of them. Fair value gap right here. And then boom, let's take the fib from top of our move all the way to the current bottom, right? But like I said, we don't want to do the Fibonacci yet just because we want to wait for this sweep. So let's see what happens. All right, bet. So boom, obviously. Obviously, price just swept sell side as well, made its way down here. So let's go ahead and take our fib from, like I said, the high of our move all the way down to the bottom, right? So this is our current range that we're working with. Boom. And this is like our sweet spot right here. So we got the fair value gap. Not only that, we have our OTE, which is the red line. So let's go ahead and double up on this. Boom. So we got the fair value gap. We got the Fibonacci retracement anywhere, I would say, in between the 62 to 70% level, or entering right at that 70% level is ideal for this setup. So boom. Let's go ahead and click play once again. And we have our target as well for once we get into this setup, we have our target below for where we could be going to, which is what we marked up earlier, the previous sell side liquidity. So boom, let's just play this out. And boom, as you can see, so like I said earlier, between our times from 9:30 to 11 a.m., you could have entered the trade right here in our area. Boom. Oh, shit. And took it down over 250 points right here. So, like I said, that's the first, what's it called? Shit. That's the first example right here. The third one's going to be the best, though. So let's go ahead to the second one, though. All right, bet. Now for this next example, boom, let's go through the steps again. Directional bias. Let's get to a higher time frame. Right now, we got it at 9:15 on the 5 minutes. So let's go ahead. Let's go to like the 1 hour. And we could see, okay, I mean, it's pretty obvious where, you should look at where price will be heading towards considering the trend here. Boom. So we're already bullish on the day. Boom. We know that. Simple. Now spot liquidity. Let's go back down. So right here with it being 9:15, we got small one here for buy side. Let's mark up all the buy side. We got small one here. And then we got a real one right here. And then cap it off right here, right? We got 3 targets for the buy side. Sell side, we're looking at this little area. And then we got more down here. And I also left this fair value gap from the higher time frame just to help y'all out. Boom. So we already, we don't got to go back. We already got the fair value gap marked up. So boom, we got our, let's see, 1, 2, 3 checked off. Now let's go to the 1 minute. Let's see what time it is. 9:19. So let's just let it play out. But you know what we're looking for. Let's wait for the sweep. Boom. All right. That was pretty quick and simple. Dip down here into the fair value gap, swept the sell side liquidity. Now, obviously, we were already bullish on the day. We were just waiting for a good entry to get in for buys, right? So we got the fair value gap down here. We got the sweep. Let's wait for the impulse move, which is kind of already just made on this very next minute candle. So let's go ahead and now take this from our low up to our high this wick. We got our fair value gap on the higher time frame. We got our Fibonacci. Now let's just wait. Next minute, it dipped into it. Now you could be risking, obviously, to the bottom of this or even to the next level if you want to get even more precise. But let's just go down here to the bottom of this wick just to have that extra comfortability. Now let's say we're targeting, we got 3 targets, right? You can take this 1 to 3, 1 to 6, or even like this 1 to almost 9. So let's just see how this would play out. Let me move this for y'all too. Oh, wait. Shit. And TP smack, simple. And you really could have even left it running. But boom, right there, I ain't gonna lie. You take that 1 to 9. If you're not happy about that, shit, I don't know what to tell you because shit, it really gets no. I mean, it do get better than this, but shit, this is good enough. Trust. But bet, let's go ahead to our last example. All right, bet. This is the last example. I'm gonna leave it up for y'all real quick just so you can see, because this is actually a breakdown that I went over live with my students in the Discord this morning. So this was from what? February 11th. Let's show y'all the pictures and the videos, whatever, from that morning when we did this live. But boom, this one was a banger right here. So now that y'all see exactly what I had marked up, hold up. Had our buy side over here, sell side down here. Boom, boom, boom. See how it played out? But let's go ahead and go back a little bit so we can watch how it could have played out live for you. We'll keep these up though just for reference. But so basically, well, I'm gonna keep the liquidity up there too. So boom. First, spot liquidity. Now, let me tell y'all something about the directional bias though. That's, you know, you could be wrong on the day, and that doesn't really matter, right? You could think price is gonna be bullish on the day, and you might take a buy, might make some quick profits, and then it'll turn around and dump 400 points the opposite direction, right? So you don't have to be too worried about the directional bias. Don't stress about it, but you feel me? Just have something in mind that makes sense, and then move on to step number 2, obviously, which is spotting our liquidity. So we had this from up here. We have this from down here. Go back to the 1 minute. Price kind of touched into it a little bit at like 9-ish, but it didn't really sweep it or nothing yet. So we're just going to keep that same level. And then boom, sell side down here. Time and price. You know, of course, always that checks out because we're trading New York Open for NASDAQ. And boom. So let's wait for the sweep. So what time is it right here? 9:23. Boom. Let's play this out. All right. Obviously, boom. 9:30 hit. We swept above. So boom. We swept the buy side. Now that kind of tells me we should be heading towards sell side liquidity, right? But let's just wait for a good setup instead of just rushing into it. We sweep. Boom. Let's wait for the impulse move next. A little bit. So far, you know, let's mark up what we have. I would say we got a bit of a gap in here. Really like more like this. And then we could take our fib from the high to the low. It matches up with that little gap that we have. So let's just play it out and see how that goes. Boom. Simple. So we hit the red line. Obviously, that's where you could have entered, which we did enter live, like I said, from this morning. Boom. Put our stop at the next level if you want to be super precise, or you could just leave it at the top if you want to be more comfortable. And now that's when we target, you know, that's when we figure out where our TP is. So we could target all the way down here to this sell side liquidity, but I left this marked up, this 1 minute in the 5. Now I left these fair value gaps marked up for you as well, just because you got to keep that in mind as well. Price could come, you know, we could get into profits and then it could get around down here and probably just turn right back around, right? So we got to keep that in mind. You could just take your profits down here, or if you're confident in the position, like I said, hold it all the way to down here. So boom, we get in. And simple as that. What is that? A 1 to 7.5. So shit, could have risked a band and made shit 7 bands off this right here. And how long? Shit, it took about 20 minutes for this trade. So that's the 3 examples. So yeah, that's the 3 examples. It was obviously a little bit more advanced for people who already know a little bit about what they got going on. But for anybody who's a brand new beginner, the Blueprint 2.0 launching real soon. So link will be in the description of this video if you want to apply and see if you can get in. But besides that, if you need help with the app, I use TradeLocker. Broker will also be linked in the description. Anything else, if you want to keep up with any updates day to day, follow me on the gram. And shit, let's get this bread.